What's going on, everybody? What is going on? It is Sunday, October 29th, 2023, and we are back here with another live stream. And as y'all can see by the title, today I am finally going to be talking about Robert Card. If y'all was on my live stream on Friday, my Freestyle Friday live stream on Friday, I told y'all at the end that I was going to be talking about Robert Card today. And, pretty much giving y'all as much information as I possibly could about the situation as a whole and anything else that has come out since then. And there's been quite a few things that has come out about Robert Card, in particular about him on a personal level, that has come out that now, makes me really want to take a thorough examination at this whole situation. But before we actually get started, let me acknowledge the people who are here so far. We have Atalio Rachi. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Forgive me if I'm not. Craig Colson, Al Smith Sr., Club 003 Braves B1, Cool Spider, and shout out to Cool Spider. They said it's their birthday today. Happy birthday to you. And you could be anywhere right now, but you are in this chat right now listening to what I have to say. DeMarcus Vaughn, Derry, Denise Scales, Chris Vesey, Tidra Mitchell, Brandon McCullough, Emmanuel Carey, Jay Cage, Don P. Ben Yehuda, Cynthia Newman, Kwatazawa, forgive me if I'm mispronouncing your name. Shout out to you. Val Williams, BOG, Retro Gemini 99, Denise Woodson. Shout out to everyone that's in here. Since it's at 68 people in here so far, let's see if we can get some more people in here before 4 o'clock when I actually officially get started. As y'all know, I truly believe that it's that time of the year again when YouTube messes with my channel. The views have been down lately. They've been down for like a week now. Ever since before I left to go on my trip, that's when I noticed the decline. Whether it's when I go live or when I upload a video, I noticed that in my subscriber count, they've been kind of stagnant or kind of stuck. So I don't know if I said something to piss them off over there and they got me on a quote unquote timeout, but it is what it is. We going to just proceed to push forward. That's why I tell everybody to go and subscribe and be in that Discord, because whenever I go live or upload a new video, it goes straight there. So everybody who's over there can get the notification at the same time. Because YouTube is not going to always send them out over here. I know this firsthand. But like I said, we're going to continue to push forward. But I hope everybody is having a good day regardless. I would have done this yesterday if I didn't have to work yesterday. If I didn't have to work yesterday, this stream would have been done yesterday at around the same time as I'm doing it today. Juggernaut 171 says YouTube doesn't give a live count when you stream on purpose. I can see the numbers on both StreamYard and on YouTube because I have the app open up on my phone, because I have to use my phone whenever I'm like looking at or whenever I'm displaying articles and reading it, so I can see what y'all are saying in the chat. If I had another monitor, because I'm only working with one monitor, if I had another monitor, then I can dual monitor this thing where I have y'all on one screen and then have the articles on another. What's going on, Afro Elite? And also shout out to Afro because he just crossed 600,000 viewers on his channel, and he did this before he even hit 10K. So definitely shout out to him. We also have Kid Gravity Beyond in here as well. Shout out to him and B1 to him. We also have Dimpleface in here as well. B1 to them. But yeah, and also I think Afro is going to be talking about Robert Card tomorrow. If I'm not mistaken, I think he's talking about him tomorrow. TBA, he talked about him last night, and I'm talking about him today. But like I said, I wanted to wait until more stuff came out about this before I jumped right on to doing it. And now thinking about it, good thing I wasn't even given the opportunity to go live yesterday, because it was some stuff that came out about Robert Card today. Like when I say today, I'm talking about within the last 2 hours. But like I said, it's one of those things where it's a developing story. So it's going to be like an overflow of things that's going to start coming out as the days continue to move forward for those who do decide to want to look into it. But I'm going to be honest with you. After today, I probably won't go any further with this, pass today. BOG said, thanks for the shout out. Oh, no problem. I always do this. I always take like the first 10 minutes of the stream to shout out as many people who are here. I call it the early birds as possible before we actually get started at 4, which is in about 3 minutes. Well, 4 o'clock Eastern time, I should say, because I know there are people in different time zones, maybe an hour behind. You may be a few hours behind. Some of you who are those who are watching me from over across the pond are hours ahead. But shout out to everybody nonetheless. And let me also just give this disclaimer right here. Pretty much everything I'm gonna be showing y'all today or reading off to y'all today is pretty much article based. I tried to see if I could find anything that was more video based because I know people like visuals, but there really wasn't anything visual based that I really wanted to go over. A lot of them were like short videos, and I felt like the articles gave more context. But you'll see what I mean when we get into it. Carl Langley was good with you. Okay, we have officially crossed 101 viewers. Unfortunately, it took 12 and a half damn minutes for it to happen, but it happened. Shout out to all 101 of you that are in here so far. Make sure y'all go ahead and hit that like button because the likes are not matching the views or the current live viewers. XA Guacha 23, shout out and salute to you. Denise Wards, good afternoon to you. Said long-time subscriber. Well, thank you for being subscribed as long as you have, and I hope you continue to be subscribed to me going forward. We got another Denise in the chat. As a matter of fact, we got 3 Denises in the chat. Now that I think about it, that's crazy. Let's see, we got Tater Man B1 to you, and we have Black Spider in here, Black First from the West Coast. So see, we got someone who is just getting into the afternoon hours who is watching me right now. So shout out to her. BOG says, I can donate a monitor to you if you give me the parameters. I appreciate that. I definitely do appreciate that. I'll keep that in mind. And Letitia is here. Okay, cool. It's 3:59, so let's go ahead and just get started. We'll just round that 1 minute up to 4. So this stream, I have about how many articles do I have? 5 articles, and I'm gonna try to go in order with these as they came out. Now, many of you know that whenever I do a story like this, I always like to go to heavy.com. Shout out to Kid Gravity because he talked about the Robert Carr situation, I believe the day that it actually happened, like a few hours after the news first broke, and it was still breaking news coming forward. And he went to heavy.com. I'm telling you, heavy.com be breaking stuff down. That's why I like going to this website. Y'all seen me and heard me talk about heavy several times. So this is kind of our launch pad point. And this article came out on October 20. I think it came out on the 26th. I think it came out on the 26th because I believe that's when it happened, but it got updated on October 27th, which was 2 days ago, towards the end of that day. So we're going to see what they're talking about over on Heavy. Robert Card is the U.S. Army veteran who was accused of shooting and killing at least 18 people at a bowling alley and bar and grill in Lewiston, Maine, according to the Maine's governor. I don't know why they're saying accused of and accused of, because he actually did it. But see, at the time, they had to use that alleged jargon. But let's be real here. It was him. Card was found deceased of a self-inflicted gunshot wound on October 27, 2023. And that's where the update came from, because at the time he was still alive. But I'm going to talk more into that in another article, because I'm sure that's just something they added in there as far as an update goes. Some of the victims were at the restaurant playing a cornhole game when the shooter burst in, according to the Sun Journal in Maine. They included members of the deaf community. Children in a youth league were present at the bowling alley when the suspect started shooting, according to WMTV, and some were injured. You can read a roundup of the victims here. Says the first victim named was a grandfather and retired Sears mechanic whose name was Bob Violette, who ran a youth bowling league. And I can tell you right, I'm going to ask y'all this. Before we go any further into the article, put a 1 in the chat if you believe that this was an intentional targeted attack. Put a 2 if you believe this was just random. I truly believe that he intentionally went there to do this. Because think about it. When I first heard how many people were shot, I was like, did one person do all of this? Because at the time, we didn't know the locations of where this happened at. We just heard all these people got shot, but we didn't know. But then when we found out it was at a bowling alley and a bar and grill, I was like, oh, this guy probably most likely intentionally went to locations that was enclosed. That way he could do what he did. It reminded me of James Holmes back in 2012 when he shot up that movie theater during that screening of The Dark Knight Rises. You know, they're inside of a room. It's dark. It's a lot of people there. That's ripe for the picking. Whenever somebody does something like this, I tend to believe that that's not a random act. Like you intentionally went there to do that. And that, in my opinion, and it should be labeled as a domestic terroristic act. We're going to read and continue to see if they actually label it as that. Speaking in a press conference, the Maine governor, Janet Mills, said that 18 people had died and 13 more were wounded in the attack. She pledged the community's support for the victims and their families and said law enforcement is working hard to find Card. This city did not deserve this terrible assault on its citizens, on its peace of mind, on its sense of security, she said. Mills also said the shelter in place was extended to Lewiston, Lisbon, and Bowdoin, or Bowdoin. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly. All communities in Maine. The latter community is where Card is from. David St. Pierre, the Lewiston police chief, said in the news conference that residents should be mindful of their own public safety and asked for patience, saying the investigation is quote unquote large scale. This is an all hands on deck approach, he said. According to Fox News, Card may have a police scanner and could be actively listening to some of their movements. Maine State Police Colonel William G. Ross said in the news conference that it was an ongoing homicide investigation and search for the person that is responsible for it. Lewiston police had released Card's name on the evening on October 25th. Law enforcement is attempting to locate Robert Card, who was born April 4th, 1983, as a person of interest regarding the mass shooting at Shimiji's Bar and Spare Time Recreation this evening. Card should be considered armed and dangerous. And please contact law enforcement if you are aware of his whereabouts, Lewiston police wrote. Authorities are now labeling Card a suspect, and the police released this photo. This is very micro mini picture of him that looks like a license picture. Card had a page on X, formerly known as Twitter. It was suspended, but not before it was reviewed by Heavy. On the page, he liked posts by a number of conservative politicians and pundits, including Donald Trump Jr. He also liked posts by Elon Musk, Tucker Carlson, CNBC, and a professor who studies terrorism. I have an article that I'm going to go over that's going to go into further detail about that. A law enforcement alert from the Maine Information and Analysis Center said that Maine State Police were attempting to locate Robert Card as a person of interest regarding a mass shooting incident at Shimiji's Bar and Grill restaurant in the Spare Time Recreation in Lewiston, Maine. Now we're going to go ahead and get into the 5 facts. But before I do, let me see what y'all are talking about in the chat. D. Armstrong says, so nice PC get to be mentally ill, but we don't. Right. Because it was that thing ongoing saying that he was in a mental facility for like a couple of weeks or a couple months back. He only was in there for like 2 weeks, I believe. And then somehow he checked himself out, or they let him out. Let's see what else y'all talking about. Black Star Racer said planned chaos. Okay, I was right. Thanks for letting me know that I was correct. Dimple Face, 2 weeks. For 2 weeks. And how he managed to get those firearms, I'll leave that up to y'all. B first said, Matt, I'm late. Well, you're not that late. I'm just getting started. You just missed the first part of the article that I'm reading, but I still have some more to go. I'm just kind of taking a break right now and reading what some of y'all are saying in the chat. Brandon said, basic individuals they look up to. Surprising no coon dance owns and others far rights. But let's go ahead and get into the 5 facts. And it says, here's what you need to know. And here's fact number 1. The first one says Robert Card served in the U.S. military, but had no deployment. Sounds to me like he was in the reserves. It says the law enforcement alert said the Card is a trained firearms instructor believed to be in the Army Reserves. So my hunch was correct. Stationed out of Saco, Maine. However, authorities later told CBS News that is inaccurate. CNN Pentagon reporter Haley Britsky wrote on X, the Army confirms that Robert Card, a person of interest in the shootings last night in Maine, is currently a sergeant first class and petroleum supply specialist in the Army Reserve. He enlisted in 2002 and has no deployment on his record. The Army told Fox News his awards include the Army Achievement Medal, Army Reserve Component Achievement Medal 2 times, Humanitarian Service Medal, National Defense Service Medal, and Army Service Ribbon. I want y'all to pay attention to what they're doing right here when they're running down this man's resume in the Army. I really want y'all to understand what they're doing by running down his resume. It's a common theme, a common pattern that we have seen so many times. Whenever someone commits something like this, they run down their resume to try to make us feel a different type of way about what a person did. They do it commonly. I actually have a video that I recorded last week that y'all will get at a later date, because y'all know how it is sometimes, that literally does this same exact thing. Not to the extreme of what he did as far as what the person did, but they do the rundown of the resume thing. It says the Army, I already read that part. Card's Facebook page was taken down shortly after the shooting reports broke. However, people saved screenshots from it and shared them on X. He listed bowling as an interest on Facebook. One screenshot included a comment exchange that indicated that Card may have served in the U.S. Army until recently. Another wild bus trip, think we're too old, aren't we? Good to hear from you. Just about to finish up my 20 years in the Army. Got my letter. Just need them to approve my packet. Card wrote 20 weeks ago to a friend, according to a screenshot. The friend referred to him as Sergeant Rob and congratulated him on 20 years. He asked, anyone left from the original 947th, 439th? We will have to catch up sometime for a beer. It's been about 11 years. Card's Facebook page described him as living in Bowdoin, Maine, and public records gave his age as 40. The Robert Card, who was the suspect, is not a Robert Card, who was a registered sex offender in Maine. That was something else that was floating around out there too. Some people shared information in a photo about the wrong Robert Card on social media accounts. Police broadcast as Bolo, which means be on the lookout alert for Robert Card, the suspect on the scanner. In the Thursday news conference, Ross gave a timeline of the shootings. He said the first call came in for a man shooting at the bowling alley at 6:56 p.m. Shortly after that, at about 7:08 p.m., multiple 911 calls in for an active shooter inside the second location, Shimmingees. 7 people, 1 female, and 6 males died of a gunshot wound at the bowling alley. He said, and 7 males inside of Shimmingees and 1 male outside of it also died of gunshot wounds. 3 people who were transferred to hospitals also died, bringing the death count to 18. Registration of the suspect vehicle led authorities to Card's identity, Ross said. 8 people have been identified. Ross said there is an arrest warrant for multiple murder counts for Card. A Central Maine Healthcare Center official told CNN that 5 of the injured victims are in stable condition and 3 are in critical condition. The death count dropped from 22 on October 25th to 18 on October 26th. The Sun Journal in Maine reported that Androscoggin, County Sheriff Eric Sampson, had initially confirmed the number of deaths was at least 22 and said the victim number could rise. CNN also initially reported that there were at least 22 people dead, attributing information to Lewiston City Councilor Robert McCarthy. So that's the first part right there. Val said they did the same thing with Daniel Penny after he strangled Jordan Neely. Exactly. Like I said, they always got to run down the resume to make it seem like the person isn't that bad. Now, what's not going to be good is for the reserves to have them run this stuff down to this dude. He was in their reserves and he went and he did this. Haxon said they also showed a picture of him fishing to humanize them. Yeah, that was the picture that you saw up in the article when they listed this first point of him catching that big. It looks like I don't know. It looks like a bass. It looked like a sea bass. Well, let's go on to point number 2, because remember, it's 5 points, so we got 4 to go. Number 2, Robert Card was committed to a mental health facility during the summer and had been hearing voices. So now this is the part where we get into the whole mental health shtick, because you can't have something like this happen without there being a mental health crisis occurring within that person. According to law enforcement, the alert says Card recently reported mental health issues to include hearing voices and threats to shoot up the National Guard base in Saco, Maine. Card was also reported to have been committed to mental health facility for 2 weeks during summer 2023 and subsequently released. He is considered armed and dangerous, said the alert, which gave his address in Bowdoin, Maine, and his birthday as April 4th, 1983. According to the Associated Press, Card, described as a U.S. Army reservist, was taken by police for an evaluation after military officials became concerned that he was acting erratically in mid-July. The AP reported that commanders in the Army Reserve's 3rd Battalion, 304th Infantry Regiment became concerned while he was training with the unit at the U.S. Military Academy in West Point, New York. The official said military commanders became concerned about Card's safety and asked for the police to be called. New York State Police took Card to the Keller Army Community Hospital at West Point for evaluation. I have known Rob my whole life, said Katie O'Neill, who was married to Card's brother, the Daily Beast reported. He is quiet, but the most loving, hardworking, and kind person that I know. But in the past year, he had an acute episode of mental health, and it's been a struggle. She told the publication, adding that he started using hearing aids. He truly believed he was hearing people say things, O'Neill told the Daily Beast, adding that this all just happened within the last few months. She added he would get mad and claim that we didn't believe him. We tried to listen to him and tell him that nobody was talking about him. Yesterday, as the story was unfolding, we prayed that Rob had nothing to do with this, but when we heard the 2 places where the shooting happened, my husband rushed home. The Androscoggin County Sheriff's Office released photos of the suspect. Law enforcement in Androscoggin County are investigating 2 active shooter events. We are encouraging all businesses to lock down and or close while we investigate. The suspect is still at large, the sheriff's office wrote on Facebook. According to the Sun Journal, the shootings occurred at Spare Time Recreation on Mollison Way at about 7:15 p.m. and at Shimiji's Bar and Grill Restaurant on Lincoln Street at about 8:15 p.m. Another shooting was reported at the Walmart Distribution Center on Alfred A. Plord Parkway, according to the Sun Journal. The Daily Beast spoke to Card's sister-in-law, who told the publication, I am with the police right now and my children are terrified and shaken, so I do not have a comment on anything right now. So we have words from the sister-in-law, but notice who we don't have a word from. Robert Card's ex. Oh, yes, there's an ex involved. I don't know if it's going to be mentioned in here, but in case it isn't, I managed to pull up that article too. Like I said, like I told you, this was going to be a thorough examination, which is why I was glad I waited a couple days to talk about this. Cool Spider said PC got a lot of issues. Songwriter said they make us care only about his life. That's very interesting too. We haven't really we only heard a little bit about the victims, but this is like a biography about him. Q said humanize them, dehumanize us. When needed says sounds like lies from people around him. Let's see what else y'all talking about. Black Star Racer says they always humanize them folks. Of course. Art Garden Food Expression says it's election time and they're trying to stop the messages in the black media. JK says when the suspect is portrayed as the victim. Exactly. Because we know had it been us, mental health be damned. Let's move on to the 3rd point. The 3rd point says Robert Card, who once studied at the University of Maine, is accused of walking into the restaurant, opening fire while people played cornhole, a witness says. Kathy Lebel, co-owner of Shimiji's, told the Sun Journal that she was told the suspect walked into the restaurant and just started shooting. It was just a fun night playing cornhole. It's the last thing you're expecting. Lebel said to the newspaper, I still feel like this whole thing is a nightmare. Cornhole is a game like horseshoes where people throw bags of dry corn at a target. That sounds like one of the most PC games ever. Has anybody in this chat ever played cornhole before? I'm gonna be honest. I didn't even know what a cornhole was until today. I've heard of horseshoe. I've heard of that. Played it too, but I never heard of cornhole. The Sun Journal reported that there were 14 to 16 gunshot victims at Shimiji's. According to NBC News, Card studied engineering at the University of Maine about 20 years ago from 01 to 04. Authorities also released a photo of Card's vehicle. The car, police believe he was driving a white Subaru Outback, was found near the Lisbon boat dock on Frost Hill Avenue near Route 196, and police were seen by witnesses knocking on doors of nearby homes. On the scanner, law enforcement said people should shelter in place at the Walmart until law enforcement could get to them and clear the building. The employees said they saw a man brandishing a weapon. An officer said on the scanner, which was obtained through Broadcastify. However, Walmart spokesman later told the Sun Journal that the shooting did not occur there. This shooting did not occur on Walmart property, Joe Pennington told the site. The distribution center locked down like everyone else and police searched the facility. A woman wrote on a law enforcement post comment thread that Card was recently fired from a Lisbon, Maine recycling plant. That information could not immediately be verified. Then Shade said, I haven't played it, but I've heard of it. Med J. Jones says, I've played cornhole, but I know a lot of white people. Mike Mellis John said, oh, F no. D. Armstrong said the only cornhole I heard of was screw. Okay, I'm not going to read that whole statement, but okay. Songwriter, I'm not even going to read your comment because that leads right into what D. Armstrong was saying. Herbert Scott said it's a corporate team building game. Tatum Man said, I have most definitely a PC game for sure. Eman said, I'm from Indiana, and yes, I played. Okay. So we know that it is a game, but apparently it's also something else as well. Based on two comments that I observed in this chat. Number 4, Robert Card was described as a gun fanatic. Aren't all mass shooters? Who would shoot guns all the time and lived in what was basically a compound. Local resident Liam Kent told NBC News that Card lived in what was basically a compound in Bowdoin, Maine. The family and Robert, they're all gun fanatics, Kent said to NBC. For all intents and purposes, they are very much associated with right-wing militias. I'm going to pause right there. Who remembers the video that I did about the Blood Tribe? Put a 1 in the chat if y'all remember the video that I did about the Blood Tribe back in August. Put a 2 if you do not know or did not watch that video. Because I was wondering if they was going to bring up like a militia group. Hackson said 2. Cool Spider said 1. Sean Breezy said 1. Brandon said 2. Boy said 1. Chosen said 2. Retro 1. When needed 2. Q2. Yasuke said 2. Okay. Well, the Blood Tribe, I forgot the man's name. The Blood Tribe is basically a Dub-S group that's currently operating out of this town in Maine. I don't think it's this town right here where Robert Card is from, but it's a town in Maine. And it, like, just if you get a chance, go and look it up. As a matter of fact, like, when you get a chance, go and look, just type my name, Torian Rain, and Blood Tribe in the search bar, and you should pull it up. It's almost a 40-minute long video where I talk about it, because I don't think anybody outside of myself and maybe 1 or 2 other people actually talked about this Blood Tribe that operates out of Maine. And when I see certain things like this, I wonder to myself, was he aware of this group? Was he aware of this tribe? And did he have any type of dealings with them? But yeah, look it up when you get a chance. Just look up the Blood Tribe and just put it in Maine, and it gives you a whole rundown and who runs it and all types of other stuff like that. It says, it's known in the town to stay away from them and not approach them. Kent remembers seeing Card as a kid at a nearby way station with a dead deer. Card was grinning, covered in blood, with a gun still strapped to his body. Listen to that. This is from a local resident that said they remember seeing Robert Card as a kid at a nearby way station with a dead deer. He was smiling, covered in deer blood, with a gun strapped to his body. That was him seeing this dude who committed that act in Maine as a child. Now, the last person I heard about doing something like that was Jeffrey Dahmer. Because, Jeffrey Dahmer liked to play with roadkill and experiment with roadkill and dissect roadkill. So it sounds to me like this dude had issues even as a kid. It goes on to say, also, they would shoot guns all the time. You could hear them every day after school. Kent added to the network. It was like clockwork. Video showed law enforcement searching for the suspect. Scanner traffic indicated that police were clearing a Walmart store early on, but a Walmart spokesperson told the Sun Journal that no shooting happened there. Megan Hutchison told ABC News that she was inside the bowling alley with her daughter Zoe, who was 10, when the suspect opened fire. Her daughter was injured, Hutchison said. I never thought I'd grow up and get a bullet in my leg, Zoe said to ABC. It's just like, why? Why do people do this? I don't really know what to say. Zoe, who barricaded herself with her mother in the back room, told the network, people have families and they're young people who still have long lives ahead of them, and people shouldn't be coming in and doing that. It's not okay. She told the network that a bullet grazed her. My pants had like a bullet thing in it, and then I looked and it wasn't deep. It was just a scrape. Zoe said to ABC, I was scared, but it didn't hurt, and I didn't know what happened until I started bleeding. Hutchison told ABC News that another child was also injured at the bowling alley. Lewiston City Councilor Robert McCarthy, whose home is a half a mile from the shooting scenes, told CNN the mass shooting was a real scary event. According to Maine court records, Card has no criminal history in Maine, with only speeding infractions on his record. BOG actually briefly heard about that. I have to look into that. BOG said DeSantis offers to boost security after multiple people. Okay, I'll look into that. I think I briefly heard about that. I think I heard something happen recently in Chicago too, at a house party too. Shout out to Mike Mellish John for the $5 super chat. He said, what's ironic is that Maine is a blue Democratic state with lopsided red state gun laws similar to Texas and Florida today. What have I told y'all? I have told y'all repeatedly on my channel, and I'm going to say it until I'm blue in the face. Right wing, left wing, Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservatives. Two wings attached to the same buzzard. They are more like than people think they are. They're more like than they aren't. I'll put it that way. But yeah, I'm gonna look into BOG. I'm gonna look into that Florida one. I'm gonna look into that. And I wonder what the snowflake got to say about that. Now we're getting to the last point, and once we get through this, we'll move on to the next article. Point number 5. Authorities found a note in Robert Card's home. I wonder what this note was. Now I heard somebody mentioning something about a manifesto. I wonder if this is what they're about to talk about. According to the New York Daily News, authorities found the note in Card's home, but said they are trying to decipher it. They did not disclose the contents. People in Lewiston and Lisbon were asked to shelter in place on October 25th, and the governor added Bowdoin, the suspect's hometown, on October 26th. There's an active shooter in Lewiston. We ask people to shelter in place. Please stay inside your home with the doors locked. Law enforcement is currently investigating at multiple locations. If you see any suspicious activity or individuals, please call 911. Updates to follow, Maine State Police wrote on their X page. In the news conference, authorities confirmed the suspect's vehicle was located in Lisbon and indicated they wanted people in Lisbon to shelter in place as a result. So that's the whole article right there. They just said there was a note there. and that they try to decipher it, but they don't know, they haven't released what it is yet. And that's all we got out of 0.5. So that's the whole heavy article right there. Yes, Buzzard. Yep. There's a whole bunch of filthy birds you can compare that this two-party system to when it comes to those wings. The songwriter said buzzards of a feather plot together. That's a good one. Johnny Ali, good point. He said, Torian Rain, you know what they don't say? What about white on white crime? That's interesting because I haven't seen them. Well, you know what? It's not interesting because I know they wouldn't say it. We know that if this happened were to occur in Chicago and didn't even have to do with black people, they would say, what about black on black crime? And speaking of, I find it interesting how a lot of them try to defer and deflect to Chicago when this happened. Larry, not my elder, is one of those people. Mr. I had to drop out of the campaign, and I might as well let the cat out of the bag right now. I hope y'all are available at 3 p.m. on Tuesday afternoon. Let me see. Make sure my time is right. 3 p.m. Tuesday afternoon, because we will be doing an exclusive Triple P live on Larry Elder and him dropping out of the campaign. Y'all heard it here first. And for those of y'all who didn't hear it, y'all will just have to find out about it in 2 days. I hope all can attend. I might actually drop the link so people can come up and air their pettiness, because we ain't airing no grievances. So that takes care of that article. Now we're going to go into this article right here. Now, I'm kind of glad that the heavy article did not mention this, because I wanted this to be its own thing. Now, this article right here came out 2 days ago on October 27th at 11:38 p.m. And this is talking about Robert Card's ex-wife. Because, you know, it mentioned a sister-in-law. So that means that Robert Card had to have been married. And he was. But now we're talking about his ex-wife. And it says Maine killer, Robert Card's ex-wife and teen son were in hiding. Divorce papers ordered guns under lock and key. So now we're getting a little bit more interesting here. Now it's getting even more interesting. Because what if Robert Card was doing this because he was trying to get back at his ex-wife? Kind of plays out sort of like with John Allen Muhammad, because he was trying to do the same thing, you know, with his ex-wife and their children. So let's see what they're talking about on here. Robert Card's ex-wife and teenage son were in hiding as the manhunt for Maine mass killer continued Friday, before he was found dead of an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound. Army Reservist Card, age 40, is the father of an 18-year-old son, Colby, from his marriage in 2005 to Kara Lamb. Their union ended in divorce 2 years later, so they were only married for 2 years. According to court documents obtained by the Post, Lamb, age 39, and her son were understood to be laying low while her ex-husband remained on the loose, wanted over Wednesday's gun rampage in Lewiston, Maine, which left 18 dead and at least 13 injured. Lamb was not at her listed address on Friday, and a neighbor said he hadn't seen her. She declined to comment when contacted by phone. Earlier reports claim Card may have been trying to locate an ex during the deadly rampage at a restaurant and a bowling alley in Lewiston on Wednesday night. Card's sister told investigators she believed he may have been looking for the ex-girlfriend when he was accused of shooting up the Spare Time Recreation bowling alley and Shimiji's bar and grill, ABC News reported, citing sources. It is unclear if Card's sister was referring to Lamb or a more recent ex. Other members of Card's family acknowledged he had been struggling with his mental health in recent months and thought he was hearing voices. Records show Card and Lamb were married in Brunswick on October 1st, 2005, and jointly filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences in Sagadahoc County in court in 2007. An amended version of the divorce agreement in 2013 included a requirement that stated it is further ordered that all guns in either party's home should be under lock and key, during which time they are not being used. Now, that's very interesting. They said an amended version of the divorce in 2000 agreement in 2013 said it is further ordered that all guns in either home is under lock and key, during which time they are not being used. Now, this is amended, so to me, that just says it was updated. So they knew that he probably shouldn't have been around guns to begin with. Card, who represented himself throughout the proceedings that lasted several years, described himself as self-employed and was ordered to pay $74 per week for child support in 2013. His son, now a legal adult, was reportedly the intended recipient of a mystery note investigators discovered Thursday while executing a warrant at Card's unkempt home in Bowdoin, according to ABC. I wonder if that was the note that they were referring to in the previous article I was talking about. Because remember, the previous article said that there was a note that they found. They were trying to decipher it. I wonder if this note was supposed to reach his son, but he never got it. The note gave information and instruction to others about where things could be found and disposed of, law enforcement told CNN, which they said suggested that when it was found or read, that Card would no longer be alive. Maine officials would not be drawn to a potential motive, but they said they are looking into Card's mental health. Again, I wish I can get like at least $10 for every time mental health is mentioned. When asked on Thursday about his background and gun possession, I know that we will be reviewing that information as we move forward, but that's not an answer that we're prepared to give today. Maine Department of Public Safety Commissioner Mike Sawchuk said during a press briefing, there's still an active search for the suspect in question. A manhunt for Card has extended as far as Canada, and federal, state, and local forces were all looking to find him. Law enforcement officials have now identified all 18 victims gunned down in the shootings at Spare Time at Shimiji's. Officials listed the names as Ronald Morin, Peyton Brewer Ross, Joshua Seal, Brian McFarland, Joseph Lawrence Walker, Arthur Fred Strout, Max Hathaway, Stephen Vazella, Thomas Conrad, Michael DeSlawers II, Jason Walker, Trisha Asselin, William Young, Aaron Young, Robert Violet, and Lucille Violet. Wow, so he killed a couple. That's crazy. William Brackett and Keith McNair. So this article gave us a couple of things. It gave us an insight to his marriage and how it seemed to be very rocky. We find out he has a son who was 18. In their marriage, just said that they have to put the guns under a lock and key. And then we finally get the names of all of the victims. Oh, yeah, you're right. Listen, y'all knew going into this, they was going to give a boatload laundry list of excuses for this dude. That's how it plays out every single time. Brandon said in all the articles they never called him a criminal, not once, or shamed him. Exactly. The only time they mentioned something about a criminal was saying he didn't have a criminal record. Miss Carter said, they only call us indigenous people criminals. The police in Maine are very corrupt. Maine got put on the map in a major way with this one. Just thought y'all should know. Maine got put on the map in a major way. In a way that I'm sure they would not want to get put on there, because like when you think about it, Maine is not one of those states you hear about every day. It's not. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like I said, this is the most Maine has been talked about in a long time. Kane Miss Carter says, I'm from Lewiston, Maine, and there's a lot of dirty stuff that goes on there. Oh, wow. I got somebody in the chat who's actually from the location where this happened at. That's crazy. I never thought I would have someone in my chat that was from there or from the state of Maine, period. Now, this next article is going to be a doozy. I want y'all to check this out here. It's coming from this website called secondnexus.com. Never heard of the website, but I thought it was interesting to pull up because this was something that was talked about in the heavy article and who he decided to, I guess you can say, associate himself with online. It says someone compiled Maine shooting suspects' Twitter history, and it's a who's who of MAGA or MAGA. It was posted October 26, 2023. And as you can see, we have two people right here. That's Donald Trump Jr. and Elon Musk. The nation was gripped with tragic news of yet another mass shooting, this time in Maine, where a gunman went on a killing spree, fatally shot at least 18 people and left 13 injured in the state's second largest city of Lewiston. The suspect at large was identified as 40-year-old Robert Card of Bolden, Maine. It came to light that he had a history of liking right-wing political posts on X, formerly Twitter. On Wednesday, Card allegedly shot and killed 7 people inside of Shimiji's Bar and Grill and 8 people at Spare Time Recreation, a bowling alley about 4 miles away from where families had gathered for a children's bowling league event. A U.S. official who wished to remain anonymous told the Associated Press that Card, an Army reservationist, underwent... Okay, we're going to skip past that. It says, in the midst of the chaos, more details about Card came to light, specifically his alleged user history engaging with far-right accounts on X. News website Heavy managed to look into Card's X account before it was suspended. According to the outlet, Card followed and or liked posts by X's CEO Elon Musk, Joe Rogan, and y'all know I just talked about Joe Rogan the other day, a professor named Asif Nawaz, who specializes in Muslim politics and terrorism, and a MAGA page called Proud Patriots. Card also engaged with high-profile conservatives and pundits, including Donald Trump Jr. and Fox News ouster Tucker Carlson. This is X user at a non-arc ops shared a screenshot of Card's alleged X history and wrote in the caption, "The people asked, you shall receive Robert Card's Twitter history, even though Elon bleached it. Trump train, Jim Jordan, Elon Musk, and it says CATTURD2, end wokeness, McCarthy at the Babylon Bee." And that end wokeness, y'all know I've talked about that end wokeness on my channel a couple of times. They added it's the who's who of right-wing Christian fascism ideology. Yeah, wow. Look at this, y'all. Do y'all see this? I want y'all to see this right here. Y'all probably can't really tell, but look at this. This is a list from 38 all the way down. Oh, okay, it started right from wait, where are these numbers starting from? They're all jumbled up. Y'all see this right here? Y'all see what I'm scrolling right here? Y'all see this? Can y'all see this? And I'm not going to read all of this because it's a lot. But this is a list of all the pages of all those right-wing pages that he's gone to over the vast course of him being on Twitter. Like it says twitter.com/ the username, and then it says, and then it has a little code behind it. But look at all of this. This thing is from 38 down to 85. Then you have one that says 27 down to 73 because it's kind of broken up. I wish they would have had 1 to 27. Then you have a 76 all the way down to 123. So that means he frequented these pages often, a lot. We know how we say the internet is forever. What I found to be interesting, though, is that Elon Musk's name comes up the most out of all of the ones that are listed. Elon's name comes up the most. This could be maybe times that he's tweeted them, or maybe he's reposted something that they tweeted or quote tweeted or quote posted, however they want to call it now. But yeah, and it says the poster verified its authenticity with receipts. And they said that's a great poster. How do we know that it's true? And then they put it right here. Check it out for yourself. And then they got this information right here. So basically say these posts, all of them is from him. And they also got it right here. 159 likes by the main shooter. Oh, let's look at this. He liked the post from Dinesh. You know, Mr. Anti-black person himself, Dinesh D'Souza. If it'll come up, I don't know if it will. Hold on, y'all. Let me see if I can pull it up. Okay, let me see right here. Let's see. So this is where some of the posts that he liked. So here's one from Dinesh that was posted March 28, 2023. Here's one from that Proud Patriots page that they were talking about as well. This one from an account called Lib Fails. And that's pretty much it. Sorry, y'all. Let me go back and present the page again. So I'm willing to bet that if Robert Card liked these type of pages right here, he definitely had some anti-blackness about him. Let's just be completely honest with ourselves here. If Robert Card liked these type of pages who we know have said some anti-black things, then we know he most likely has some anti-blackness about himself. And this is Card's X activity was also captured in this scrolling video. It says Heavy recorded the Twitter likes of alleged mass shooter Robert Card from his now suspended Twitter account, which includes Tucker Carlson, Donald Trump Jr., Dinesh D'Souza, Elon Musk, Speaker McCarthy, they're talking about Kevin McCarthy, Jordan Peterson. So they literally went right here and they scrolled through his page, and this was before. This is his page right here, y'all. This is his ex Twitter account right here before it got suspended. Before they suspended it, they were able to get this, and they're just scrolling through so people can actually see, you know, the activity that was on his page, just in case people didn't believe the text that was written that he went and frequented these pages. Kane Miss Carter says, I don't want to sound insensitive, but these PC folks in Maine are very racist, and I mean it's bad. I can believe it. I can believe it. Listen, you didn't even have to tell me that. I kind of, that right off the dome, that would have been one of my major assumptions. Kane Miss Carter said the police let the PC do whatever. It's like the law doesn't apply to them. Listen, you ain't got to tell me twice. I don't have to let it continue to scroll, and y'all pretty much get the point by now. And it says, sadly, social media users were hardly surprised. Someone says pretends to be shocked. Another person says Ben Shapiro also makes appearances. Oh, God. They said another angry, unbalanced, radicalized by MAGA conspiracy theories, MAGA terrorists, and they posted that. And I think that's pretty, I'm not going to read anymore. Y'all pretty much get the picture. This guy definitely leaned into a particular crowd. And we know that crowd is very anti-black. So I have a feeling that if Robert Card could have did what he wanted to do to us, he most definitely would have. But because there wasn't really any black people around, he couldn't do it. So he had to take out his frustration in another way against people that look like him. What's going on, Carla? Solo T46 and Larry Elder still found a way to blame, but of course he did. Of course he did. So now we're going to move on from that article right there, and we're going to go into this one. And this one's going to be pretty much one of those pointing out the obvious, where it talks about him being found dead. You know, by this time, like I said, when I said I was going to talk about this on Friday, today, he was still alive. But a couple hours after my live stream was over, it was announced that he was dead. So what's the irony there? It says Maine mass shooting suspect Robert Carr dead of an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound after a 2-day manhunt. You want to know what's real cowardice about this whole thing? Is he did all of this only to quote unquote take himself out. He pulled a cowardly act 2 times. One was going into those locations to kill all of those people, and then 2, take himself out after he did it. But what's even more interesting, this can fall under the category of Operation Protect the White Boy. Why do I say that? Because they allowed him to constantly maneuver for him to allow himself to get away and then take himself out. Remember what happened with Michael Johnson? They sent in a robotic bomb for him, one that we never heard of before then, and one we haven't heard about since then. Where was Robert Card's robotic device? That's what I'd like to know. Where was Robert Card's robotic bomb? Inquiring minds want to know. Robert Card, the main gunman who killed 18 people and injured dozens of others in the deadliest U.S. mass shooting this year, was found dead Friday night from an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound. The discovery of Card's body put an end to a 2-day manhunt that began when he carried out the bloody attack at a bowling alley and bar in the city of Lewiston on Wednesday night. Like many people, I'm breathing a sigh of relief knowing that Robert Card is no longer a threat anymore. Maine Governor Janet Mills said at a press conference announcing the development. Now is the time to heal. She continued, with this search concluded, I know that law enforcement continues to fully investigate all the facts so we can bring what closure we can to the victims and their families. Card's body was located about 7:45 p.m. near a river in Lisbon, Maine, which law enforcement sources said is close to his former workplace, Maine Recycling, from which he was recently fired. The killer was found in the same clothes he was wearing the night of the massacre. Sources said he used a handgun to himself. Card's vehicle, a white Subaru Outback, was discovered by police abandoned in Lisbon just hours after his rampage at Spare Time Recreation Bowling Alley in Shiminji's Bar and Grill. Wednesday night, the horrific violence began around 7 p.m. at the bowling alley, where police said Card entered with an assault rifle and began firing. Minutes later, he showed up at the bar. In total, 18 people were killed. Wednesday's massacre was the deadliest in Maine's history, according to the Portland Press Herald, and the deadliest of the 8 mass shootings in the U.S. this year. Did y'all hear that? Let me read that again. Wednesday's massacre was the deadliest in Maine's history, according to the Portland Press Herald, and the deadliest of the 8 mass shootings in the U.S. this year. This dude knocked out 2 birds with 1 stone, with 1 event. They said this was the deadliest massacre in Maine's history. See, now this is going to make me want to look up how many massacres has Maine ever had. because that is crazy. I tried to find it right now, but it's only talking about what just recently happened. I'll have to look for it later. But that's crazy. Deadliest in Maine's history, and the deadliest of the eight mass shootings this year. Is this Carl Card who hails from Bolden, has been charged with 8 counts of murder. I don't know why they're charged. I guess that's not an update, because I'm like, how are you going to charge somebody who's dead? But yeah, I don't need to read anymore. But that's crazy. Andretti said that's what you call demon time. Exactly. B first said, does the article attempt to humanize him? Listen, any of these articles can attempt to humanize him all they want, but let's just be real here. Anybody who is an upstanding human being would not commit an act like this. This is, as far as I'm concerned, Robert Carr is not even human. He's some otherworldly entity as far as I'm concerned. Now, look at this article that I found right here that was posted today. This article was posted today. And this article is going to lead into what I keep telling y'all. Whenever they allow people to get away for so long, even when the warning signs are there, this is what can occur. Maine police were alerted about veiled threats from Robert Card weeks before the mass shooting. The police in Maine dropped the ball. In my opinion, if I were the family members of the victims, the Maine Police Department, we would be on their head. So they knew that this man was putting out these cryptic type messages to do what he was going to do, and you did nothing. You could have avoided that. Even in death, Robert Carr still gets the Operation Protect the White Boy treatment. Even when y'all knew that this man was in a mental facility about quote unquote hearing voices, you still allowed him to skate on by. You didn't want to think to look into this. And you know what's so crazy? This happens often. This is not a one-off thing. It's not even isolated anymore. This happens so much when you have people who literally leave red flags all over the place, and you choose not to do a thorough and proper investigation. Kane said the police probably thought he was going to take out the other race of people there, or they thought he was joking, because you know they love to talk about how they like to joke a lot about things like this. I don't know about y'all, but I like a joke here and there. But if someone was to say, "Oh, I'm going to do this and do this," I don't take that as a joke. I don't take that lightly. I take that very seriously. Law enforcement officials in Maine received a statewide alert about veiled threats made by U.S. Army reservist Robert Card weeks before. Notice that, and this goes back to what B first said about humanizing him. They keep bringing up about him being in the Army Reserves. They don't call him a domestic terrorist. They don't call him a murderer. They barely call him a mass shooter. They keep bringing up about him being in the Army Reserves. At this point, that goes out the window for me. If y'all are not calling him a domestic terrorist, if y'all not calling him a mass shooter or a mass murderer, then I don't want to hear another title about him. It's either them talking about him being in Army Reserves or him having mental health. This is weeks before he opened fire at a local bowling alley and a bar, killing 18 people and wounding 13 others. The county sheriff, Joel Mary, said he sent deputies to Carr's home in September after the U.S. Army Reserve tipped him off that the firearms instructor had issued veiled threats against an Army base but couldn't find him. Mary then sent an awareness alert about Card to all of the state laws enforcement agencies. Saco Police Chief Jack Clements said he even deployed cops to patrol the local army base where Card had trained, but also came up empty. We added extra patrols. We did that for about 2 weeks. Clements said the guy never showed up. Well, you should have stayed on it. 2 weeks is not long enough. You should have stayed on it to see as long as you could. Y'all gave up too easily. Y'all gave up too soon. On Wednesday, cars stormed into the just-in-time recreation. I'm not going to read into that because we already read so many articles about that. The mass shootings sparked a massive manhunt. We already read about that. It says he slipped through the cracks. Indiana University law professor Jody Madera told the Associated Press of Card there were warning signs. Despite the alert sent by Mary, the FBI said Card was not on their radar before the shootings, and said the agency was not provided with or in possession of any information that would have prohibited Card from a lawful firearm purchase. Card was enlisted in 2002 and was a trained firearms expert who followed reservists, described as one of the best marksmen in his unit, and was a skilled hunter and outdoorsman. But signs of trouble surfaced in July when officials at Camp Smith near the U.S. Military Academy at West Point reported that Card was exhibiting bizarre behavior and made threats to other members of his military unit during a training exercise. The base notified state police, and Card was committed to a mental health facility where he spent 2 weeks. Jonathan Crisp, a former Army attorney, said that had Card been committed involuntarily, that should have put him on the radar of law enforcement. If they took him and he didn't want to go and refused to be admitted, it's a slam dunk, Chris said. This should have been reported. Let's see what else they're talking about. It says Card was allowed to go home still in possession of the assault rifle. How the hell? Wait a minute. Timeout. Flag on the play. How was he able to go home with the assault rifle still in his possession after leaving that facility? That gun should not have been in his possession when he left. And y'all just gave it to him and gave it back to him after he left. See, what I keep telling y'all, Operation Protect the White Boy in full effect. The Saco chief said his department gets many alerts like the one sent out about Card and did their due diligence, but did not have any specific warnings about the reservists beyond that. Never came in contact with this guy, never received any phone calls from the reserve saying, hey, we got somebody who was causing a problem. We never got anything. The New York State Police declined to comment to the AP, citing an ongoing investigation. There's so many hands involved in this, it's not even funny. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about was the annual homicides in the state of Maine. And I wanted to just go over the homicides that happened in 2022, last year. Keep it as recent as possible. It's a reason why I'm going over this, y'all. So as you can see, in the 2022 annual homicides for the state of Maine, under murder and manslaughter, 29 murders, 15 of them domestic. And then as you can see, they have a list from January 10th all the way down to December 19th. And then they give all the details, but we're not going to go over all of the details. The reason why I said that is because when they do the 2023 annual homicides, I have a feeling that it's going to eclipse 2022 because the vast majority of them are going to come from what Robert Card did. Remember, he took out 18 people by himself. That is 11 less than what 2022's homicides in the state of Maine has altogether. And we know that more than 18 people died of a homicide or a murder or manslaughter this year. More than 18. So I have a feeling it is definitely going to cross that 29. For sure. When we initially heard that it was 22 initially, before they said it was 18, I was like, wow, this guy almost matched it. He was 7 short. Now he's 11 short. But I'm willing to bet that more than 11 people outside of what occurred a few days ago died from a murder or a manslaughter in the state of Maine. But the fact of the matter is, he's the bulk of them because they all happened in one night at his hands. Exactly, John. He was a one-man crime wave. Kira said, how many injured in addition to the 18 plus? 13. It was 13 injured from this and 18 that were deleted. And the crazy thing about it is, of the 13, some of them are in critical condition. So you know if they pass on, the number rises under murder and manslaughter. Salute to you, DSA. So now what I'm going to do is, when they put out that 2023 annual homicide, I'm going to come back to this because I'm going to be curious to want to know how many in total for the year 2023. But I think it's safe to say it's going to surpass 29. So I'm going to keep my eye on that. I don't know when they actually put this number out. I don't know when. I don't know if they put it out like what month exactly. But I'll be checking because I'm very curious. Johnny said you saw 60. No, those were wild numbers. They already put down, excuse me. They already scaled it down to what the actual numbers are. It was 18 deleted, 13 injured. Those are probably the early articles that were put out initially. That's why I said I didn't want to jump the gun and talk. Well, that wasn't the best choice of words, but it's a term of expression of saying anything about this because I knew it was still developing, and that wasn't the actual number. Those were numbers that people kind of just threw out there initially, but when it was all said and done and when they actually ran it down, it was 18 deleted and 13 injured. Either way, that's still a lot of people. And you want to know what's so crazy? Who remembers Stephen Paddock? Put a 1 in the chat if y'all remember who Stephen Paddock was. Put a 2 if you don't. Yes, Kira, the Las Vegas shooter is who I'm talking about. Yep, I believe he did kill around 60 people. Well, for those of y'all who don't know who Stephen Paddock is, back in 2017, Stephen Paddock, he basically slaughtered and massacred like 60 people at a music festival out there in Vegas. He went into this hotel. I forgot what hotel it was. Someone may be able to tell me what the hotel is in the chat. He went to a very high floor, got a I believe it was an assault rifle or a sniper rifle or something like that, and literally just started picking people off one by one. They didn't see it coming because, again, people are down there, they're having fun. It's a music festival. No one's expecting nothing like that. And he took out so many people. But what's so crazy is I don't know why anybody who was working at the hotel, especially security or anyone working in that office with the cameras, did not suspect anything when they would see this man come in and out of the hotel with multiple duffel bags. Like, that would draw a lot of suspicion. Like, they said that guy made multiple trips to and from his room with these large duffel bags. And these were not duffel bags that had what you would put clothes in. It was those rifle size duffel bags. Yes, Kira, the Country Music Festival, and it was at the Mandalay Bay. Thank you, Blue Jay and Kira. The fundraisers at the assault rifle, he had like 500 bullets and like 10 guns. Exactly. He like this is literally what he did. He would fire off all these rounds, and when he was done with one rifle, he picked up another loaded one and continued to go to work. He ran out of ammo with that one. He put that one down, picked up another one, and continued to go. I don't know how many guns he went through, but he went through definitely more than 2. He was going in. That was a big story back in 2017, by the way. They don't talk about it anymore though. But they ended up finding him, and they ended up deleting him. And Carla, I'm gonna highlight your comment. That's who was performing at the festival when it happened. Now, we've talked about this character a while back, not that long ago, but a while back. But Jason Aldean was performing at this festival, and it was during his performance when all of that happened. Mr. Try That in a Small Town, that guy. There it is. It's funny, they love to talk about that Try That in a Small Town, but they don't talk about where he was at when this was going down. But ladies and gentlemen, that is going to conclude today's stream. I hope that y'all were able to get as much out of this as you could. It was a lot of information to go through. Glad I was able to get through it in about a little over an hour. But shout out to everybody who came through. Shout out to Mike Mellis John for being the solo dono of the day. I appreciate it. Shout out to everybody that came through. Shout out to everybody who supported the merch store. Shout out to all of my patrons on Patreon. Y'all will be getting another Patreon exclusive video on Tuesday. It will be kind of Halloween based, but it still looks too extreme to put up on YouTube. Shout out to all of my members. Shout out to everybody who is just like a supporter of the channel. Nonetheless, shout out to everybody who's following me on my various platforms. Shout out to the Discord as well. We will be back on here tomorrow with a video at 11 a.m. Y'all will see what that's going to be about when I put the premiere window up, probably around 7 p.m. Eastern time this evening. Is going to be a very interesting one. That being said, y'all enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Enjoy your Monday, however you spend it. And I will see you all here tomorrow. Be safe and be one.